I don't know. Seems like it's all fuzzy. Yeah, it totally is. What's up with this? Maybe it's just because it's dark. I don't have any lights over here. Well, anyway, what do we got? Tuesday night, I think. I don't even know anymore. I'm friggin' working. We're into week 3. And it's going fairly well. It's absolutely exhausting because I'm in charge of the yard in that we're doing a big project here in Central Florida, installing fiber optic cables, underground and stuff. And I'm in charge of receiving, running the forklift and inventory and doling out materials to people. But when that's not happening, and that doesn't happen a lot, I'm kind of just like, this was like this is going to be like a year-long project. So they're renting a plot of land that I'm kind of left cleaning up while I wait for other things to happen. And let me tell you, it's a pretty intensive thing. And the guy, the project manager, he's an all right guy. And he's inside the air-conditioned office, although it's like these plug-in machine air conditioners. So, yeah, the camera, I don't know what happened to my reverse camera here. Maybe it'll correct itself. I don't know. But it's more important what I'm saying than how I look saying it. So I'm going to record this video as is and put it up. But anyway, he's in there and I'm outside and he more or less leaves me alone. But I can't really go in there and sit there and not do anything, which I somewhat understand. But that being said, this is a national company, and there are yards, I know. I've spoken, the guys who live behind me at the RV park have been working, they work for a separate company, but they've worked with this company before, where there's nothing to do at the yard. Like, it's just already in good shape or whatever, or there's just nothing to do, and they don't have to do anything. And I'm there working like 10 hours and doing hard labor. Like I'm cutting the grass, which I don't mind. And but there's a bunch of like bricks and paving stones that are kind of scattered around the place, somewhat somewhat in a pile, like around each other, like the pallets are all broken. And I'm like stacking them, and they're covered in fire ants, and it's 9,000 degrees and humid. And I'm like, I get there at 7 a.m. and by 7:15, my shirt's like so wet, the wet where you can see the liquid on it, like it's not just like the sweat line you can see. But anyway, it's really hot, and I may just be really super out of shape to a certain extent. I mean, the heat is the heat. So I'm kind of fighting through it. And like I said, the guy's not there cracking the whip on me or anything, but I'm pretty exhausted by the end of the day. And that's then I come home and I don't have a shower, and I do have a shower in my RV, but I got stuff in there and I've never actually tried to turn it on. I'm confident it probably does work, but anyway, I can't shower in here, so I got to go down to the pool. And once the time change happens, which I think, what is it, in November now? But it'll probably be dark before I get back, and the pool is, dawn to dusk or whatever. Although they seem to be pretty loose. But anyway, that's my shower, and I'm pretty sweaty and not super dirty, but shower's pretty much necessary every day. So that's hopefully I can still sneak in there. But the pool is wonderful, and they got a hot tub, and that's really the key to life in Florida, man. If you're not on the beach. Even if you are, you kind of still want a pool. Because you can go in a pool and I feel clean. I haven't showered with soap since I moved here. Except when I stayed in a hotel So that's, I don't know what I've talked about but I think it's been about a little over a week. So last week, on Monday, I flew out to Nashville, Tennessee from Fort Myers. And then I had this guy from our company pick me up at the airport and take me out to Smithville, Tennessee, which is east on 40, more or less central Tennessee. And I picked up a truck with a trailer with one of those small backhoes on it, like tiny, the little one-man things, and drove that back to Arcadia, Florida here. And I'll tell you, beautiful drive through Tennessee. And then you basically drive to kind of a back road, pretty smooth flowing back road, one of those 2 lanes a lot of the time, 65. And then you get to Chattanooga, and then you're more or less on to 75 straight down. And I went through Atlanta about 10 o'clock at night, and it's pretty cool. It's a huge city. I hadn't been through there in a while. And I didn't realize how windy and curvy 75 is in little hills coming from the north there. But anyway, the drive through Tennessee, I was on State Road 8 a lot of the time from Smithville. Beautiful. There's this valley. It's actually a scenic drive or something, or valley. But anyway, the Sequatchie, Sequatchie. And that was absolutely beautiful. Just the farmland and the rolling hills and I kind of drove down into it from the north and then drove up out of it from the south, and you kind of go over that mountain pasture into Chattanooga. But it was beautiful. Never heard of it, and I'm pretty, I'd say I'm more informed than most because I like looking at maps and stuff, and I've been around the country and I read actual maps and stuff, and I just never heard of it, and it was beautiful. Just that farmland, like I said, with the mountains and a valley. And the road leading out of there was just beautiful. I had an overlook. And I made a video. I made several videos as I was driving. I didn't stitch them together. I can still do that, possibly. It's weird because, you do these videos, or any video you do. And just sometimes if you don't get the video out right away, to me, it kind of feels obsolete, which is not true, because that the scenery there is still kind of the same today or tomorrow. So we'll see. So that was it. So I drove, and then it got a little crazy because once I got to Smithville, Tennessee, I literally jumped right in the truck and started driving, like I was at the yard for maybe a half hour. And let me tell you, it was a pretty shitty drive from the airport. The kid who picked me up was a young kid. And we drove home, and he was just cranking offensive music, the N-word and, hip-hop shit, and even a Kid Rock song, which kind of sucks, too. Let's be honest. Kid Rock's funny, and, he's... Actually, I don't think he is a conservative. He just likes Trump, I think he's... Yeah, I'm not fooled by the what's the term they use in Tweeter and the Monkey Man? By Kid Rock's curl or something like that. I think he's full of shit, to be honest with you. But anyway, it was super offensive and cranking it, and he kept looking, he was using his phone to run the music, and he kept looking at that, like, way more than he was looking at the road. And I got out of the truck at the place in Smithville, and I literally went right up to the boss, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? I was shaking, and I've never experienced that in my life. Like, uncontrollably shaking. Because I was we'd be like 10 feet from the car in front of us, and when you're in a car that's really close, then we'd fall back like a quarter mile, and then he'd go 90 miles an hour and speed up and be 10 feet behind, but constantly into the breakdown lane. It was just frightening, dude. Not to mention, I don't know these people. And that's one thing I get a kick out of that I've noticed with this company. So I start driving, and it was it was an F-450 pulling a trailer. So you're getting used to it. You're new to this company. You got a trailer. You don't want to fuck up. So, and it was some steep roads. So you're going like 50 at times and, whatever. It took a long time till I finally got to 75. And so I drove to 11. I got to Forsyth, Georgia, which is south of, about 20 miles north of Macon. So past south of Atlanta. And it was about 11 o'clock. So the next morning, I didn't see this till later, but I get this text. Unknown number. Morning, bro. I don't know who the fuck that is. So I just deleted it. And it turns out it was like a guy I works for the same company. And we were supposed to meet up somewhere in Florida. Because their main office is in Jacksonville. And I'm coming down 75, which intersects I-10. It's still about a 90-minute drive from Jackson. Not that far. Maybe at most, anyways. But, these kids, this kid, what don't you understand? You're working for a company now, So sure, if you're 16, 18, maybe you don't think of this. Hey, this is so-and-so from HP, man. We got to meet up. Oh, okay, let me respond to you. Not morning, bro. I don't know who the fuck that is. I'm not going to respond to that. Identify yourself. We don't know each other. I don't know your phone number. Nobody told me about this. So I wasn't expecting a text either. So I just am fascinated by this. And then I forgot who I mentioned this to. Not in any negative, overly, just kind of like, dude, what am I? And he's like, oh, he's only 26? And you don't know something like that? Like, I don't know this guy. Let me say who I am so he knows who I am. And he'll respond to me. So anyway, and that's not the only time that's happened. So then we're at the yard here in Florida, and this kid shows up. Another young kid, probably around 26. And he pulls into the yard and parks I'm literally 15 feet from the door. Even with the door, he gets out of his truck, starts chalking the wheels or whatever, and doesn't say nothing to me. And finally, I'm like, and this is right at the entryway, and I'm just like, hey, man, you parking here? Yeah. Well, this isn't a good place to park. It's the entryway. I'm kind of like, I had to say this? He just drove in the entryway. And now you're going to park your truck there like nobody else will come in, I guess. Maybe he knew that. It didn't turn out to be the case, but anyway. And then nothing. And then he comes out again later, and I'm out there because I kind of got to stay outside all the time. And he's like, hey, you got a 5-gallon bucket out here? And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know. And then I thought, there's a lot of refuse that there actually was a 5-gallon bucket in the big dumpster where he had parked to block. That the guy picked that up like 5 minutes after I got him to move, and I had thrown one away. But I'm like, maybe there's a couple behind these pallets. There's a bunch of pallets, and it's kind of a overgrown area, and we're in Florida, so it's snake, But I'm just like, hey. He was in our Connex, and I'm just like, hey, what's your name? And he's like, tells me his name, and that was it. He didn't ask me mine, and I didn't offer. I could have, but I was kind of like responding to the situation. I'm like, he's not interested, so whatever. And I'm just like, what's up with this? Are these people all this unfriendly? Or just poorly raised? What is it? What do you think it is? Let me know in the comments. And let me guess. Because of the way I talk or present it, you're going to be like, what the fuck's your problem? No, I'm not the dick. Really not the dick. And you can call me the dick if you want, but I know I'm not. Because I'm very outgoing, very polite, very considerate. I'm not very tolerant. I'm not very patient. So while I'm all those things for the initial, if you turn out to be a dick easily identified as a dick, I'm gonna go quickly to those other ones, you know. So I just wonder, and I'm finding people are just horrible in this world, and too many of them, and too many of them think they are good people, you know. Whereas I get portrayed as a dick, and I guess I can be, but I usually, in my defense, would be like, well, that's you kind of presented yourself as rude and inconsiderate, so I quickly went to dick when I was just like, hey, how you doing, or hey, I'm trying to talk to you or something, or be polite, and you're just a dick. Like, for instance, here I am at my RV, yeah, and this is, I don't know, mainly the shit I like talking about, I guess, the shit that just goes fucking haywire in the world. So I'm here at my RV park, and I've ordered a few CDs and T-shirts, not as much as I just kind of went through a little thing where I did order 3, 4, or 5 CDs, the new Robert Plant, a couple oldies, Wynn Stewart and Johnny Horton, which are country guys, rockabilly / country guys from the 50s. Just got like their greatest hits sort of thing. You know some of their songs, done by like Willie Nelson and stuff. And but anyway, one of them says delivered eBay. It was an eBay, and it says delivered October 2nd, which was last Thursday. And I still haven't got it. And today's Tuesday. After that Thursday. But I go up to the office here at the RV park, and there's a guy who runs it who's pretty decent and accommodating, and then there's the secretary lady, young girl, and I tell her about this, and I'm like, and the mail lady only comes in Tuesday through Saturday, so I'm like, I know that, but so she had Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to get me, and usually they'll bring it to your RV and leave it on the steps or whatever, so I still didn't have it. So I go in on Monday, and I'm just like, this says it was delivered. I'm just wondering what's going on. Well, she does, and she goes right to like defensive, and I'm just like, well, 3 days is my fucking mail, so I expect to be able to fucking competently have that delivered. Doesn't seem like a stretch or a big demand. So she's already bitchy with me. So now it's Tuesday, today, and I go up there again at from my lunchtime, because my place I work is only 4 miles away. So I come down, got a sandwich at Wawa, and I'm like 1 o'clock. All right, the mail should have been delivered. Let me see. Go to my RV, nothing. Go to the office. Says, hey, there's one of those cheesy stores. Welcome, come on in. We're open. I can see the bolt on the door. They're not open. So I'm like, wow, that's weird. Why would you put that up there? And I'm kind of talking out loud to myself. So all of a sudden I hear her get up and unlock the door. And as I open it, she's already turned around and kind of, you can see from the body language, all annoyed. The fuck? You're in the office. It says come on in, we're open, and we're paying to be here. You fucking spoiled little bitch. And right away, I'm like, yeah, I'm just wondering, I still haven't... I told you, goes right to, wanting to fight me. And I'm just like, what is this, some sort of game? She calls, apparently the maintenance lady had dropped my package off the day before, Monday. So she calls her, and then she gets the call back, and she's like, yeah, she says she left it at the chair next to your door. Well, I'm like, well, I don't have a chair next to my door. So I'm just thinking, brought it to the wrong spot. The maintenance lady here can't even deliver the mail to the right fucking spot, and it's right there on the address. And she works here. But that's not how it goes. I get an attitude and just no reasoning, oh, maybe they wouldn't even bring up the fact that maybe it got taken to the wrong place. So I'm leaving now. And the manager comes out, and he's very accommodating. He's like, I'll look into this and get back to you. And he calls me right when I got basically back to work. And he's like, yeah, we talked to her, and we were getting ready to fill out a police report for stolen goods, and then she retraced her steps, and she realized she brought it to the wrong location, and it wasn't claimed. So anyway, so it's at your place, and it was. But it was 3 packages. And one that I wasn't expecting, because it still said it was I bought it on Amazon, but it wasn't from Amazon. It said October 14th to 17th delivery. So I was thinking, oh, it's that Johnny Horton, which was one of them. And the other one was Buddy Emmons, which is a famous pedal steel guitar player that I had bought. So instead, I got this book, a Scott Adams book. He's the guy who wrote Dilbert, but he has a podcast, and I've been off and on him. I watch him sometimes, but I've recently got, and that's the thing. I've been watching him off and on for probably since I've been doing the YouTube, so about 4 years, 5 years now. And I've kind of, after all this time, there's people that I no longer watch anymore, and he's one of the guys that I'm like, he is good at how he presents things and how it gets you to think about things. He's good at presenting ways of thinking about things, And I've concluded that he's a worthwhile watch, and I still don't watch him every day, but so still haven't got the Johnny Horton, which was the one that was supposed to be delivered on Thursday. So I called George and I'm like, dude, I still haven't got this. And this was after he's done work, but I had just gotten home. I sent him the screenshots of like it saying delivered to the mailroom and blah, 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 blah. So that's where we are with that. And the thing is with an eBay, if you buy something from Amazon, they'll just give you a refund or send it back out or both. This is eBay. If they say it's been delivered, they wash their hands of it. So I'm out whatever I paid for that. And it was around $20. If I don't get it, I don't get it. And I'm out the money. And but I'm just fascinated by the fact that the people would rather fight with you than be like, oh, wait, you're paying to be here. And we're more or less, I hesitate to use the word servant, but you're paying and we're here to be of service to you and they're just like, visibly exasperated, like before you even like the first thing you say, And these kids suck, man. Fuck you if you're under 30, man. Go fuck yourself. Fucking learn how to talk to people and be considerate and fucking polite, you piece of shit. Until you prove otherwise, you're all fucking assholes as far as I'm concerned. You go fuck yourselves. And you can go tell me to fuck myself. And if I ever fucking find you, I will make you eat my shit. Okay? You think I'm kidding? I don't give a fuck if you're a fucking lineman for fucking Alabama. I'll make you eat my fucking shit. You fucking kids suck. So fucking spoiled, man. Every fucking one of you. And all you fucking assholes my age who think you raised your kids differently, you're full of shit. Your kids suck too. Fucking kid yourself. My kid, I didn't put up with that shit. Bull fucking shit. Your kid runs your life. You guys are fucking losers. So fucking sick of it all, man. But in a good way. Like I'm enjoying living and enjoying the clarity that I'm finding. And just trying to eliminate all the bullshit from my life, man. And I'm feeling pretty good about the fact that I've done that. I've reached some sort of clarity that all the bullshit and all the people that are full of shit, which is just about everyone, I feel pretty good about it. Nobody gives a fuck about anybody else, no matter what they tell you. And don't fucking be fooled by the family fucking bullshit. Don't be fooled by that, man. Pains me to say that, because I was fooled by it for a long time. That really pains me to say that. But then that was it. So yeah, so work's got me worn out, but I ended up playing. I went to I don't know if I talked about the Legion gigs. Did I talk about those? The one where the DJ was there? I think I did with the Kenny. But anyway, so I didn't get any call from them to come back and play. And I'm fine with that. That's a mutual. If I never hear from them again, you know when you're just on like so not on the same wavelength with people, and that's what that is. Now, don't get me wrong. I play at this Charlotte's Web pub, and they don't give a shit either. But they'll still just let me play and just walk by and shit. But these other people, I just I was like, I don't care if I ever see or talk or do anything. But that being said, if they call, I'll go and play because that's what I do, you know. But there ain't no compromising. Like, you know, what sort of stuff? Well, I try the DJ guy who was running the sound, that Kenny, was like, you know, I try and go around and get a feel for what people want to hear. And I told them straight up, I don't care. I play what I play. I'm not playing any fucking Alan Jackson or Garth Brooks tunes, dude. Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. So I went up to so Saturday, I went up to Charlotte's Web pub and played 2 good sets, I thought. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah. What happened there? It was 2 sets, but I only played, I don't know. I think I broke my string. Yeah, I broke the string out into the second song. I opened up with a solid what the hell was it? Loving Cup by the Stones. Then I did a nice transition into Uncle John's band, and just basically you're riding out on the G chord on Loving Cup, and I just went right into the, you know, give me a little drink of your loving cup, and then just went in dun 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 dun. So there wasn't any like 2-minute seg of slowly, but it was a nice crisp, and it worked well. And then right into the second verse, I think, you know. It's a buck. I'm not sure. I still don't know the order of the verses, so I got to read that one. I kind of know them when I start them, but I just don't know which order they go in. Kind of, you know. It's a buck. I know the first verse. The first days are the hardest days, but then I'm not sure if it's Buck Dancer's Choice or I Live in a Silver Mine, and so hopefully we get that down. And then I switched over to my Acoustasonic, and that took me through that. And then I did a second set, and I think it was all Acoustasonic too. I'm just trying to think if I did break out the ukulele. I don't think I did. But the second set was only 45 minutes, getting dark earlier, and I still went up there too late. Didn't get there till after 4 almost, like around 4 it started, 4:30. But it was pretty solid. You know, I slowed everything down kind of. I just felt more played within myself somewhat is the feeling I got instead of trying to race. I don't know. You know, I just took my time or something. But you feel these ways, and when you go back and watch them, you're like, it's the same as ever, or, you know. So it just felt good. The Acoustasonic's fun to play because it's so light, you know. So that went well. Got a pizza on the way home. I like that. I like when you've done something, you know, and you're tired. So you've done something. You know, I played 3 hours or 2 hours plus of music, 2 sets, which is tiring, folks. And then driving home, nice easy drive home, and got a pizza. And you're kind of tired. And then Sunday I went up there. And again, I got a little late. I think I was a little earlier, but I started with the ukulele, and I played like 2 or 3 songs, I think. And I went to tune it up, and the fucking string, not even the string I was tuning, broke. It was the G string, which is the biggest string, the top string. If you're looking at it or holding it, it's the top one. And that one broke. And those were the strings that came with it. So, and I didn't have any replacements. So I switched to the acoustic, which I had put a new G string on. And I tied the loop of different in usually when I string a guitar, I would bring it up and wrap it around a couple times and then go through the hole in the tuning peg. But I just found a book, a Martin care and guidance book from one of the guitars I bought. You know, it was in something, and I was looking at that, and they actually show bringing the string up and going through the hole first. And then you bring the string around and go under the string you've put through the hole and then swing it back around. So you're essentially making a loop around the string that's going through the hole and wrap it around a couple times and start turning the tuning peg. And I did something wrong because when you bring it back over the top and wrap it around, I didn't have enough from spinning like to hold it there. So it's essentially just kind of going through and coming under and over, and it stayed in tune the whole fucking. I played one set on Sunday, like an hour and 50 minutes, and after the first 3 or 4 songs, it was all with that acoustic guitar, and I thought it was another good set. And the key was I forgot my 2 clipboards with the all my lyrics, so every song I sang was out of my head, and I fucked up a few. I forgot a verse to Bungalow Bill, which I did, the first verse. He went out tiger hunting with his elephant and gun. I forgot that verse. I went right to Deep in the Jungle. And I also did, I was going to end with Broke Down Palace, but then I decided as I was playing Broke Down Palace, I'm like, oh, let me do Mighty Quinn. And I forgot the second verse. And it sucks because I knew there was a verse there and I didn't think of it, but I went right into a cat's meow and a cow's moo, which is the third verse. And I was like, well, and I couldn't really think of the second one, which is, I like my sugar sweet, making haste and see, I still don't know how that one goes. That's always been my weak point. And it's really just the first half of the first line of the second verse I can never think of. You know, tell me where it hurts you, babe. No, that's in the third verse. I don't know. I got to look at that one. But it sucked because Broke Down Palace is pretty solid, and then I totally fucking butchered Mighty Quinn, which I always do. Mighty Quinn is a ragged but right tune for me. I know it's ragged because I try and do these licks, and which I do, but it makes it a very bumpy ride. You know, it's not smooth, but I like it. I like it. I think it's okay. And that's the thing. That's a good example of a song, I think, for me, where it is a bit of a fucking train wreck, but at the same time, if you can adjust and just see what I'm trying to do, in that, I don't know, which I don't know if I'm trying to do something there. I'm trying to do the song, but I'm okay with it. It's like my version of Angie. I play that on electric, usually the Acoustasonic, and it's really ragged, but I think it's actually how it needs to be done. I like my version of Angie. You know, I don't play any of it right or how it should be done or how Keith does it or anybody else who's given I've never watched any tutorials on it, and but I think it works. But I did an hour and 50 minutes with basically, you know, like I did Sympathy for the Devil, which I did Desolation Row, and I only screwed up like a line or two in that one. And then mostly it was kind of shorter song. But I still had a ton I could do that I didn't think of, you know? Did Ship of Fools. Ship of Fools was the first tune I did when I switched over to the guitar. And then I think Ship of Fools, Sympathy for the Devil, and then who knows. But, you know, Love Potion number 9, shit like that. Trying to think. Bertha, Jack Straw. God, I could have done so many. I didn't do Takes a Lot to Laugh, Takes a Train to Cry. I could have. I know the words to that one. But I thought it went well. And it was a good test. And that was it. That was the week, man. So basically just kind of sadly, and it is sad, but I'm losing faith in that people have any redeeming qualities, really. But not in, when I say that, it's not in some weird way. I still get a kick out of, it actually makes me want to more be like, hey, how's it going, man? And work on things like, hey, my name's Steven, how you doing? And, trying to almost lead by example, like subtly, because people don't understand you're doing that, but engaging with people. And it's kind of fun, but I have essentially decided that people are just poorly raised, and it doesn't matter if it's the parent in their 50s or 60s, or like I had some lady today. I get home from work and I'm sitting outside taking off my work boots and just sitting there, and she's older than me, probably 10 years older than me, but she comes over, what's your name? And not meanly or anything, but I'm just thinking to myself, you're coming to my spot, I'm sitting outside here, wouldn't you be like, hey, I'm Mary, I live next door, or I'm trying to sell the RV next door, I'm looking for a guy, are you Wooly? That's who she was looking for. First thing out of what's your name? It's like, I don't know you. I'm at my spot. Wouldn't you just be more considerate and be like, hey, I'm looking for, I just found that crazy. That was my cat. That's Angie right there. Sweet Angie. What's up, darling? She's like this little muscle. She's kind of the trouble cat, though. She's not a snuggler, but she wants to be. She's working on it. She's a sweetheart. They're all good cats. She's just the least snuggly of them all. But yet here she is. She's the only one that's come by tonight during this chat, which is running to 40 minutes, not 37 minutes. She's been turning it up. But she always gets into it with Donald. And she's got like a raspy girl voice, I guess. And she's always screaming with getting into it with him, and it gets annoying. I just don't like hearing it. But she's a sweetheart. She's actually, the two girls, I got 5 cats, 3 boys. They're all same mother. A couple of them might have, I got 2 black ones, a boy and a girl. 2 orange, 2 boys. And a tortoiseshell, long-haired tortoiseshell. And the tortoiseshell and one of the black ones are girls. And neither of them really let me hold them. But the Lola, the tortoiseshell, she adores me. I'm not exaggerating. Like she'll stay near me, but I can't like hold her in my arms, But we'll get there, and that's what's the fun about the two of them. It's like been like put it this way, they're 2 to 3 years old at this point. And for the first time, Lola comes over and like put her 2 paws on my thigh, and is, and her body's like sitting on the couch. And she'd never done that. Usually she kind of goes in and nudges India and does little circles, and is right there nonstop. But to like just sit there mellowly on my thigh like that and just for a couple minutes, it was nice. It was a noticeable progression, which is going to take years, which is fun. Oh, what time is it? It's almost 10 o'clock, and we've got activity in the... So we got this guy here. It's pretty funny. There's one of the things you find out in the RV life, which I just didn't think of because I've lived a sheltered life, I guess. Not really, but... there's people that you wouldn't necessarily want to associate with and stuff. There's a lot of there's some shady people and stuff of that nature. And we got one that came in. They came in from like Alabama, and it's like this young kid, or he's like 31 or something, and and it's like his mother-in-law and her boyfriend or something, and that's the three of them. So the daughter that makes him the son-in-law is not involved. So, but anyway, he's driving around in this truck with no license on it or license tag. He doesn't have a license, and it's got like one of those loud horns or loud engines, and the windows don't work or whatever, and he's just kind of worn his welcome out with me. Like we got a pool here that's pretty nice. It's actually very nice. And rule number 2 is no dogs inside the pool area. And he's one of those guys who brings his dog in. And the dog is actually pretty cool. I will admit that. But it's still one of the rules. And, did I mention that the dog's like a 90-pound pit bull? It is a nice dog. But I just assume the rule gets followed, if you know what I mean. I don't really need that because, you never know. And he comes in to the pool area all the time and he just starts vaping. Yeah, whatever, dude. Don't want to fucking inhale whatever it is. I know. I don't give a fuck whether it's harmless or unharmless or whatever it is. Unharmless. Whatever. That's so fucking ignorant. You vapors, go fuck yourselves. You're fucking losers and you're ignorant assholes. But anyway, I'm sitting in here tonight and I see this car pull into the park. And this was around maybe 8 o'clock or 7:30. I don't know. It was dark. And it's pulling in, and for some reason it stops right at my place. And this guy comes over and knocks on the fucking door. And the guys behind me, who I'm friendly with, who helped me get this job I got, they left. He has a pickup truck with like a yellow light on top because he works on the side of the highways, and that was on. And they were no activity at their RV. And I had seen that when I came back from the pool and I went over to their RV and I could see, it's a tinted door, but I could see the TV. It said channel not available. You could see that on the screen and there was no activity. So they were clearly crashed. And I know they're going back they're from Kentucky. They're good guys and father and son. So I'm just like, they must be sleeping. I think they're leaving tonight or something. I don't know. So I didn't knock on the door. I was like, whatever. They got a car there. If they need a jump, it's their own fault. Not in a mean way. I'm like, I'm not going to bang on the door and wake them up. What can I do? So and then 20 minutes later, the David comes by and he's got to knock on my door. You got their number? I'm like, no. And then it's like 5 minutes of, well, they got their emergency lights on, man. I don't want them. Dude, I understand. I know exactly what. I didn't tell him that I'd already gone over there and didn't want to wake him up or whatever. But I understand why you want to tell him. I don't need 15 ways of being told. I don't want him to have a debt. Yeah, me neither. But they're clearly sleeping and maybe the battery will be dead. Hopefully not. Not rooting for that to happen, but I didn't see that we needed to have a big explanation about why we needed to let him know it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? Don't think I'm being a dick or anything. I went over there to alert him myself, and I was like, they're probably sleeping. I can jump them if they need it, It'll be okay. And he's one of these guys, and it's like, got to prove that I care more or something. I just. So sure enough, like 20 minutes later, he's over there with his loud fucking thing. And I don't know if he woke him up or not, but the two guys are outside. And I'm cooking my ham steak. And I just look over and I just start laughing. And the dad, Danny, just looks at me. He's like, hey, buddy. And I'm just like, hey, what's going on? And I just went in and ate my ham steak. And he was over there sitting in his, the annoying kid was sitting there talking to them. And he's talking to them. He's like on the other, I'm at my RV. Then there's our RV. And then there's that kid out there in the street. And neither of them are looking at him, like listening to him. That's kind of how it is. We're all, like, he got kicked out of, he's staying with his mother-in-law, he said, and apparently something happened there, so they kicked him out. And he was sleeping somewhere, and now he's back, apparently. And this is just one of these guys. 20 years from now, the same shit will be going on. He'll be driving some car that's basically on its last legs all the time, no license, and wondering why fucking nobody wants to be around him, Crazy. So that's kind of RV. And that's what I was telling my sister, when I spoke about it earlier, that one girl who lived where these two guys do now, and how she came over one night all fucked up, probably looking for sex or something, who knows, but wasn't interested. And you're just like, these are things you don't think of, and the shady people that'll just be in your life against your will that you got to deal with. And on a certain level, it makes it more interesting. On a certain level, it's just it's scary, because things could go south in a way you don't know, And those are things you just don't think of, because I like living in my RV. I need more room. I could do with, I got to figure that out. But beyond that, I like it. And I like the whole idea I love driving this thing, you're driving your home. You pull into a rest area and you can just sit there and have dinner if you want, It's pretty cool. And I like traveling. I love traveling the country, and I'm not doing a lot of that right now, but anyway, I'm all for the RV life. I like it. But there's that other side of it that it's a cheaper way of living. It can be expensive, but it also can be cheap. And you are gonna be around. There's just gonna be a seediness to a certain crowd involved in this, and that's something you don't think of. And then all of a sudden, you're getting hit with it. It's coming to you, and you can't always see that coming, or you don't expect it. And it'll be interesting to see the evolution of that, as I've only been doing this for 6 months. Like, if I assume I'll probably be doing this the rest of my life, this style. And, like 5 years from now, just after I've dealt with it for 5 years, how I am about it and stuff. Got listening for the rain. My scooter's still outside. I got to bring that in. Went down to I go to the pool every day, basically for a shower in, because it's wonderfully relieving. That's the key thing. The pool is just huge, having a pool in Florida. The RV park I stayed at for like 5 months up there in Zolfo Springs, that was like a concentration camp. No pool. Everywhere you walk out of your RV, there's nothing but fire ants everywhere. No grass. This is like the thickest, most lush grass I've been around in a long time. Like, really nice grass. Like, it grows too. They only cut it once a week. They could cut it twice a week. With all we're in the rainy season, I guess, too. Maybe that'll slow down. But it's a really nice area. But a lot of Midwesterners, a lot of Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio. And one of those things that I've come to learn after this long on the planet. fuck Minnesota, Michigan, and Ohio. I know Ohio's allegedly a red state, but and the reason that matters is just conservatives are just more normal people who want to go and do things with their family and friends on weekends, and like being on the city council is not the focus of their life because so they can dictate how other people have to live, So that's what to me conservatives a normal person is a conservative and stuff, We're the people who like to play music, go fishing, golfing, hiking, or be with family, and the other people are worried about where they have to be at 8 o'clock in the morning next week to make sure they get this or that. And I don't, and fuck Minnesota. I mean, that's the Ilhan Omar, the George Floyd BS, that shooting last week, Tim Waltz. There's nothing good about Minnesota. You're from Minnesota? The fuck is your fucking problem, man? I assume if you get to this point in the video, you can handle the way I'm talking and shit, and you're more or less possibly normal. The fuck is wrong with your state? So I haven't met or talked to all these people, but a lot of Minnesota plates, and I'm not really interested. Let's put it this way. I have one of those Trump was right about everything hats, and I wear it every time I go to the pool because I want people to see it, and if that offends you and you don't want to talk to me, thumbs up. Goal achieved. I wear that purposely so that I don't want you. I don't give a shit if you even tell me to fuck off or whatever. I'm not going to jeopardize my staying here by engaging with you at that point. But if you decide you don't want to talk to me ever because of that, thank you. 100%. That is the goal. I'm like, this will save me a lot of trouble. So, in the big news for this week is, this weekend, Saturday, Brittany, the owner of Charlotte's Web Pub, she came up Sunday night when I was playing, and as she usually does, and I mean, she'll come up sometimes, and I'll be outside playing. She'll walk by me. They got a horse out there. She won't even say hi. She's always nice, but, like, it's weird like that. She's been very nice. Lets me come up. I don't even have to tell them I'm playing. I can set up outside and play. But she just is like, you ready to come back inside? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I'm going to be playing inside on Saturday. And I haven't done that since I got, that Buddy Roberts told me, why don't you take a seat and I'll buy you a drink if you just stop playing. So that'll be Saturday. And then Sunday, I'm going to Clearwater to see Tedeschi Trucks Band. And who's opening? Somebody's opening that's actually pretty good, too. I don't know. Somebody I wanted to check out, though. I don't know if I know him already. But I think it's somebody worth seeing, too, the opener. But I'll be there. That'll be a good Sunday. I'm going to leave here as soon as I can get ready, so I can eat lunch somewhere cool, and I'll just hang out in Tampa, if not just on the causeway probably. You take 275 up, I can go over the Skyway. The only reason I'd like to stop at the Skyway there, but that's usually pretty crowded, the causeway there, you're right on the water. But I wouldn't have eaten lunch by then, because there's nowhere to really eat other than like fast food between where I am right now and the Skyway Bridge and the causeway. So I'll probably keep going, stay on 275 up to the airport there, where you can take the left to take the causeway over to Clearwater. I could cut up 19, but that's just like a Route 1-y sort of road with every fucking fast food, and it's like 25 miles on that. So I'll just stay on 275, then cut across on the causeway. And the causeway there is basically the one place in Tampa where there's a beach, and it's actually not usually some of the dirtiest water. But it's still a nice place to sit. You don't necessarily want to go in the water. And it's not a formal beach anyways, but you can go in the water. Actually, there is further down, but that might technically be Clearwater where the beach is. Possibly. There might be some in Tampa. That's the only beach in Tampa I know of. So Tampa technically doesn't have a beach, because that's kind of bay water. And I know that it's some of the tested dirtiest water in Tampa regularly. I did go in there one time. Before I learned that, I probably wouldn't do that again. But anyway, I'll make a day of it because I think the show said it started at 5:30 or 6:30. And we'll go to Clearwater. It's at the new Bay Sound. It's a nice amphitheater. And I'm just up on the lawn. I don't need any. $55 for the ticket. That's about as much as I want to pay anything anymore. I've seen Tedeschi trucks 2 or 3 times already. And saw Derek trucks in Indianapolis in 2008. And then, so that'll be good. Just haven't gone to a show in a little bit. And that's a perfect show. Big band, slide guitar, just out on the lawn. Be fine. The nice thing about this place in Clearwater is it's like City Hall is behind it. And this is right where all the Scientology stuff is too, right there. But literally the lawn in the back is kind of like granite steps of the back of City Hall or something. There's a tree back there. So it's very kind of informal. It's a very nice, ritzy, new, it's only 2 or 3 years old. And so I'm just looking forward to that. So playing inside at Charlotte's Web Pub on Saturday if you want to come down. Wauchula, Florida on Route 64, State Road 64. And then if you hang out, we can go to Tedeschi Trucks. Let me know in the comments. Even if it's after this weekend. So that's it. I think I whined and complained about enough. It's all legitimate shit. I'm dead on all that. And that's it. That's it, man. That's what's going on. It turned out, I don't know if I talked about my car going down. I had to bring that in finally. 402,000 miles. And it turned out there was no oil in the engine. It had been 10,000 miles since my last. First time I've done that, which is why it's lasted so long. But I'd been moving around and I like to bring it to a dealership, even pretty much all through the ownership of my car. I'd bring it to a Nissan place, and I'd been, moved. And you're in the center of the state, you don't have a lot. So I just hadn't done it. But I was counting on the oil pressure gauge, which had notified me of oil problems before, and it never saw it move. And all of a sudden my car was bucking, and it literally came to a stop while driving, and it started right back up. But anyway, it turned out I just needed oil and got my oil changed and at a local place here in Arcadia. And it's running great. I only got to go 4 miles, and my work was cool. I took my e-bike to work a couple days. And it's a nice, pleasant ride, sidewalk the whole way. 4 miles. And but the car's back. And I'm fine with it. It does what I need it to do. So, all right. Oh, look at that. Almost exactly an hour. All right, folks. Till the next time. Well, I'll be thinking of you. I'll be thinking of you. What album's that on? Let me know in the comments if you know that song and the album. It's not hard.